All right, hello and welcome. I'm super excited and honored to have you here with me today as we unpack the new 2022 SEO formula. We're going to be going into what you need to do in today's environment in regards to what's happening with the Google algorithm in order to get your remodeling, construction, or home improvement services company website ranked on the first page of Google for as many keywords as possible. Because we know that when you rank well, you're going to get more traffic, you're going to get more clicks, you're going to get more calls, and it's going to move your company forward. How many of you agree that it's a pretty important initiative to get ranked better organically in the search engines? Give me yes in chat. Give me a thumbs up. Give me something just to confirm yes, we all believe that. I have a couple hands raised. Thank you, Cindy. Taylor says, like, yeah. All right, more of you saying the same thing. Excellent. There's really no doubt about it at all. So as you know, this is part of our overall 2022 Internet Marketing Plan. At the beginning of this year, we went deep on your overall 2022 Internet Marketing Plan, talking about your website, talking about your market positioning, talking about the big picture, talking about SEO, pay-per-click, social media, email marketing. Overall, what we consider our digital dominance method. These are the key things you need to do to really maximize your lead flow via the internet. SEO is one part of the overall strategy. I really think SEO is a big, important aspect. When you rank better, everything you do works better. Your cost per lead is lower. And I'm going to show you examples of that. Your lead volume is higher, and I'll show you examples of that as well. But you also want to have a diversified strategy. You want to have a great website that's built to convert, but you also want to be tapping into the paid advertising mechanisms like Google AdWords, Google local service ads, Facebook ads, Yelp ads. You want to be doing some retargeting as well to bring people back to your website. You want to have systems in place to follow up with and nurture the leads that you get that don't convert right out of the gates. So yes, SEO is important, but it's part of the overall big picture of how to really maximize your lead flow online. If you missed one of those sessions, post in the comments, let me know that you'd like to see the 2022 Internet Marketing Plan training. Or if you want to see our training on how to optimize your website for conversions, if you need any of that stuff, shoot us an email, ping us on Facebook. We'll be sure to get you access to those resources because we want you to have everything you really need to succeed at the highest level possible. So I'm going to call for your attention now. You're here. I know things can be a little hectic now. I know some of you guys in certain areas of the country are maxed out and don't have a lot of free time. So it's easy to get distracted in trainings like this with so much going on, or maybe you're just tired of Zoom meetings. What I'm going to ask, though, is that if you're here, let's give this our undivided attention. Turn off your cell phone, shut down Facebook. If you're like me, I have multiple computer screens. I have multiple tabs open on several browsers. But if you're serious about really maximizing your results online, maximizing your rankings, let's give this next 60 or so minutes our undivided attention. So here's what we're going to cover in today's session. Today we're really going to talk about specifically about the latest changes with Google's algorithm. Things are constantly changing. I want to bring you up to speed on what has changed recently with the algorithm. I'm going to talk about the most important things you need to have in place that could actually be hurting you, things that you might have put in place in the past that might actually be bringing your rankings down that you want to be aware of. Because you might need to shift, you might need to pivot a little bit. Really, we're going to talk about how to optimize your website using the new SEO formula, the latest things that have changed that can really both maximize the website itself as well as off the website in terms of your authority positioning to really maximize your rankings and to maximize your results online. Real quick, if you don't know who I am, my name is Bob Vance. I'm the founder of Home Remodeler SEO. I'm also a former remodeler and custom home developer, having been involved in the Denver real estate market for several years and developing some $1 million plus homes. I'm also the author of the book, Internet Marketing for Contractors and Builders, How to Triple Your Sales by Getting Your Internet Marketing Right. It's one of the top selling books on internet marketing for remodelers, builders, and other home improvement services companies. We're also actively involved in NARI, the National Association of the Remodeling Industry, as well as the NKBA, the National Kitchen and Bath Association, the NAHB, the National Association of Home Builders. So I might have seen some of you folks at the show down in Orlando in February. for those two associations. And then we're also involved in the Denver Home Builders Association and the Colorado Home Builders Association. I'm an admitted computer geek. I think I'm widely accepted as one of the top experts in online marketing for remodelers, builders, and home improvement services companies. But I say more important than any of that stuff is that I've worked hands-on with tons of remodeling companies, builders, and home improvement companies of all types across the country. I've taken many of them from virtually no presence online, no lead flow on the internet, to now where they're dominant players in their market, ranking #1 for lots of different keywords, generating dozens or even hundreds of leads via the internet every single month. I'm honored to say that we've seen a lot of our clients, a lot of the people I've worked with hands-on, go from brand new businesses with little to no income to where they're at now, millions of dollars in revenue growth, and really growing their companies as a function of getting their internet marketing dialed in. And what I'm going to share with you is not based on theory. It's not based on a blog that I read on SEO Journal or something. It's based on implementing these ideas and strategies in remodeling, construction, and home improvement services companies, just like yours, and with proven results. I promise throughout today's training session, I'm going to be sharing real examples. That way you can look at them and you can see the real world aspect of how this plays out in a real remodeling or home improvement company just like yours. I will say, this is what we do. My company, Home Remodeler SEO, this is what we do all day, every day, day in and day out. We eat, sleep, and drink nothing but getting results for remodeling companies, builders, and home improvement services companies online. I've got a team of people that do content, people that do SEO, people that do link building, people that do citation development, people that run pay-per-click campaigns, people that handle social media. And we're on a mission to help triple the sales of 500 remodeling and home improvement services companies over the next 5 years. Now, if you'd like to talk with us about how we can implement these ideas for you, how we can help set up your website and do your SEO and run your online marketing strategies, we'd love that opportunity to talk. Just post a comment in chat and we'll get you scheduled to take a look at what you have going on. That's my only sales pitch of the entire presentation. The rest of this is going to be information-based. But if you'd like help, if you'd like to have us implement these strategies for you, reach out to us. We love the opportunity to help you get the maximum results from your internet marketing and your internet strategies and SEO strategies as a whole. So let's dive in. The first thing you're probably wondering is, does SEO still matter today? We all know the Google algorithm has completely changed. We know that Google is serving completely different results than they did in the past. I'm going to pull up a search here as an example. If we go to Google right now and we type in Denver roofer, I'm in Denver. You can see what is completely different now from what results used to look like. It used to be all organic and then maps results. And then it was pay-per-click at the top. And then there was pay-per-click ads over on the sides too. Now Google's got local service ads up at the top. They've got pay-per-click listings right below that. And they're moving the organic results further and further down the page. It's even more evident on a mobile device. If you run that same search from your mobile phone, the organic listings, you got to scroll a couple times to actually get down to those results. And so that begs the question, should we even be spending time or attention on SEO? Do people still click the organic results? Do people still call from the organic listings? I guess what I'm going to say is that while the SERPs, the search engine result pages, have changed, the search engine results, the organic listings versus clicking on the ads, it's still the same. 81% of searchers prefer to click on the organic listings over clicking on ads. 71% of the time, people are going down to the maps results and the organic results below the map, just skipping the ads altogether. I'm sure a lot of you are like me, like these statistics point out, and that is you're skipping over the ads and clicking on the maps results or the organic results. And it's the same for the person that's looking for your remodeling company or for your home building or home improvement services company. They're going directly to the organic results as well. So if your company is down to the 6th, 7th, 8th result or at the bottom of the first page of Google, potentially on the second page, you're missing out on the lion's share of the traffic. You're missing out on the lion's share of the opportunities out there. So it's important to recognize, yes, people are still clicking into organic listings, but most of it goes to the top 5 results. So yes, SEO still matters. Let me give you an illustration. Let me give you an example of this in the real world, which is one of the companies that we work with. They're called Classic Remodeling. They're based in Everett, Washington, just outside of Seattle, Washington. They're a full service design, build, and home remodeling firm. Over just the last couple years, we've been able to do a lot of work to optimize their website to get it ranked on the first page. And we're going to unpack the exact strategies that go into getting your website ranked on the first page, just like theirs. And the service that they're focused on right now, home editions, they're only maps result that shows up, which is called a knowledge graph there on the right side. So it's like their own featured showcase. And then when you look at the results, once you get past the ads, they have the top 2 rankings. And you talk about the lion's share of the opportunities. This is how you dominate your market and really grow your company and your revenue. And there are dozens of examples just like these for hundreds of keywords. And that's what really counts. Not ranking well for just 1 or 2 keywords, but dominating the search results for as many high value keywords as you can. If we run a bunch of searches, home remodeling, home renovations, home additions, room additions, kitchen remodeling, bathroom remodeling, they come up very strongly in those top 5 results, typically in the top 1 or 2 spots. We're very meticulous with our tracking. We want to know how many people are getting to the website, how many leads they're getting, how many calls are coming in. We track the number of leads based on the source as well. So how many leads came from SEO? How many come from local service ads? How many come from Google Maps? How many people called in versus those that submitted the web forms? So here's a snapshot we took last summer to show they got 96 leads back in the first quarter over just 3 months. And that's all from organic SEO and Google Maps results. You can see their total investment in online marketing, which is our management fees for SEO and content development. If we divide that out, it comes out to an average of only $54 per lead, which is really on target for them in their marketing, is extremely low for a lot of markets that are a lot more expensive. So they're very happy with that. They're continuing to scale those numbers as well. And as you can see, the return on investment is quite incredible. They're looking at anywhere from 20,000 to 30,000% when it comes to the return on their marketing investment. So this is what's considered the really success when it comes to, is your marketing paying off for you? That's what we're really focused on. The point I want to drive home with this case study really is that yes, SEO does matter. Yes, the algorithm has changed. Yes, Google has moved down to organic results a bit, but you can't rely on just the paid results at the top. You can't just do local service ads alone. You want to be doing all of it. You want to maximize your lead flow online from as many sources as you can. Classic Remodeling didn't have strong organic rankings. They weren't found anywhere when we started. And so they'd be giving up almost 95% of their lead flow right now if it wasn't for their SEO results. So yes, SEO is very important. Yes, you want to make sure you understand the way SEO works. You want to understand the latest changes in the Google algorithm. And you want to be putting your best foot forward to rank in those non-paid listings. So with results like those, it's easy to see, and I'll say it again, yes, SEO does matter. So let's talk about some of the big changes, because what was working in SEO a year ago, 2 years ago, isn't working the same way now. Here's some of the big things that have changed. First of all, you can't get away with duplicate content anymore. I'm going to talk about what I mean here, but there was a time that remodeling companies, builders, and home services companies were notorious for creating pages for all their services. They created pages for all the cities they serve. But the problem is that they cloned different versions of that page with the same content. They did this over and over and over. So Google made some changes to the algorithm where it's looking for that duplicate content. And if you have that on your website, it could actually be pulling your website down without you even knowing it. it could be negatively impacting your results. And then the second thing is low quality backlinks to your website could really hurt you. There was a time not long ago when the most important thing in ranking your remodeling, construction, or home services website was building as many links as you could to your website. Whether you did this to yourself or you hired a third-party contractor that did it for you, a lot of them were just getting a bunch of garbage links pointing back to your website, and then being able to show Google that you could rank for all these different keywords based on link quantity. But things have certainly changed, and now it's link quality is what really matters. Quality over quantity. But the fact is, and if you haven't dealt with having tons of low quality spammy links, is that you're probably seeing a depression in your rankings and a depression in the lead flow you're getting from organic search. And number three is you have to have a real physical office where you want to rank on maps. A lot of home services companies have been like, oh, I want to rank in my main city, but I also want to rank in all these surrounding towns and suburbs. So I'm going to set up a PO box over here. I'm going to set up at my aunt's house. I'm going to, put that on Google Maps, UPS stores, and I'll drop a map pin. And ideally, I'm going to rank in all these different areas. Well, Google's kind of really put the kibosh on that. Their systems are much better at recognizing, is this a physical address really or not? And they're penalizing companies that have a lot of fake listings. So you have to have a strategy to make sure you actually have a location in the area where you want to rank, and a lot of authority and a lot of citations to make sure you're ranking in those results. And then the fourth is that site speed matters. It really matters more than ever before. It used to be you could just throw up a WordPress site, leave it bloated, leave your image sizes really large. It didn't really matter one way or the other. But in today's environment, if your website is not loading quickly from desktop, and especially on mobile, that's absolutely going to be hurting the way you rank in organic results in the search engines. So let's dive in. You can't get away with duplicate content anymore. What I find is most remodeling home improvement companies that serve between a 25 to 50 mile radius, where there's lots of little cities and lots of little towns all around and in between. So, using Denver as an example, you would obviously want to rank in Denver, but then you're going to want to rank in surrounding cities too, like Aurora, Broomfield, Littleton, Arvada, etc. You're going to want to rank in whatever 15 or so little cities and towns around your main metropolitan area. A very common strategy in the past was to create pages for each one of those cities, and then make a page with each of those cities as the focus of your remodeling services page, and then make a remodeling services page like that for every city using the same content. And then all you're doing is just changing out the city. Same content for kitchen remodeling on your site, but now it's a different city. Same content for bathroom remodeling on our site, but now it's a different city. I used to be able to do that and get ranked, but now Google's actually penalizing sites that have duplicate versions of the same pages on their site. So if you're going to do that, and I still recommend doing that, we do it for all of our clients, but you have to make sure that the content from one city page to the next is different and unique. It has to be custom written from one city to the next, from one service page to the next. So you need to make sure you have original content. You really want to reconsider what to do here if you already have your website set up like that. You either need to spend the time and money to rewrite those pages, or to remove them completely so that Google isn't penalizing you anymore. And then you can get back into seeing some search ranking results increases. Now, the second issue is having a lot of low quality links. This was actually a function of the Penguin update a while back. It used to be all about the links. He who has the most backlinks wins, I used to say. But the Penguin update addressed that. If you had links from things other than local websites, things not relevant to home services, that actually then starts to negatively impact your rankings in the search results. What I really suggest you do is that you have someone take a look at your link profile. There's some great tools out there for that, Ahrefs. You can use Majestic SEO, SEMrush. Basically, these tools let you put in your website URL, and it will create a report that shows all of your links that your website has. In other words, your link profile. It also will show you the domains that you're linking to. If there are a bunch of spammy, non-relevant links, you need to reach out to those websites and ask to have yourself removed. What we call a disavow process through Google Webmaster Tools. Create a list of all of your negative links that you know you need to deal with and get removed, however long that process takes. You don't want those bad spammy links dragging down your authority score, basically your Google score. So we take on a lot of remodeling and contractor clients where they used to be dominant in their market. And then sometime in the last 12 or 24 months, they fell off in the search results. They fell off the first page. In some cases, they basically disappeared from the internet altogether. What we found in most cases was that it came down to two different issues. It was about duplicate content, or it was about having bad links. In both cases, you have to go through a cleanup process that addresses both of these issues. We've even seen in some cases that a site's link profile was so bad, those folks were better served to just start all over with a new domain. Unfortunately, not all SEO skills are created equal for some of those people setting up websites. So that's change number two that's going on in the SEO world. Pay attention to your link quality, put together a plan to address the bad links, and get yourself a spark of life for getting your website back in Google's good graces. And then number three is that you have to have a real physical address to rank well in maps in the city that you want to rank in. If you're in Denver and if you want to rank for Denver, say Denver kitchen remodeling, you need to actually have a listing that's in Denver. If you played shenanigans in the past where you set up your aunt's house in Aurora and your uncle's house in Lakewood and maybe put a fake P.O. box address somewhere else, Google has caught up to these kinds of things. Google has really improved their mechanisms to track down this type of activity. So you'll want to clean up the fake listings. You want to go on the Google My Business, Google Maps Maker, and you want to find those locations, mark them as closed, merge them into your main listing. There's a process to be followed here in order for you to get this back on the right track. But to the extent that you've got duplicate listings, fake listings, not only do those not rank, but oftentimes your true legitimate listing winds up taking a hit or falling off Google Maps altogether throughout the process by being related to those fake listings, having the same website or same phone number, for instance. So you really want to pay close attention to that. If you want to rank, you need a real location, and a true location where your company is listed, a real office space. It used to be you could get away with virtual offices like UPS or mailboxes, et cetera. But those are just not performing well at this point. Most of them are getting deleted by Google or other contributors that know that those are fake listings. So, my best suggestion is to get a real warehouse, get a real office location, make a little bit of an investment, and build your location around that, as opposed to trying to go on the cheap, or worse, trying to pull some shenanigans, trying to skirt the system, or trying to sneak past, with your fake location. And then the next big change is that site speed matters. More than ever, how quickly your website shows up on desktop, and even more so on mobile, is mission critical nowadays. It's having a really big impact on how well your website's actually going to rank. There are great tools like GTmetrix out there that can look at this. Google has its own tool called Google Page Speed Insights. So this is the exact tool that Google is using when they're rating you and ranking you in their algorithm. So you go there, you put your website in, and it will tell you how quickly or slowly that your website is loading. And so an example of this, one of the companies we work with is Colorado Window Source. You can see right here, their Google Page Insights report shows they have 100 score. I wanted to show you this example because this is one of those things that you might say, does it really matter that much, this page speed? Does it really impact your search results? Google has put an emphasis on site speed, and they're wanting to make sure that they're serving up the best results they can for their consumers. That's who they're trying to serve. So, Google uses this tool in order to provide that user with a great user experience. This is especially true for mobile devices, which Google seems to be focused on quite hard because of that user experience or UX of mobile users. Now, there are a lot of things you can do to maximize load speed. You can compress your images, you can compress things in the background, you can put a great server stack in place. There's a lot of server optimization elements that go into play to really enhance your load speed. We were able to do that, really optimize this company's hosting, optimize their load speed, optimize all the elements that make the site load quickly. They went from about a 17-second load in a fully loaded page to less than 1 second. And their website's file size shrank by about 5 times. So that's a big difference in load speed, both on desktop and mobile. They went from a D or an 80 or a 68% grade to now they're at 100% grade. So same thing with mobile, 68% to an A. So the question is, does that even matter? Does that even impact our results? A lot of the old-fashioned SEO just isn't as effective as it once was. In the past, it was just about getting all those keywords in there. It was about getting some backlinks back to your site, just as many as you can. Quality didn't matter. And now it's really more about the user experience and optimization of that. If you think about your load speed, why does that even matter? Well, it's because it's a user experience type of situation. Google knows that if they have someone loading a slow website, that they're just going to go back into search and look for another result, another website that's going to load quickly and offer really a better user experience for that particular consumer that's using their search engine. The things you also want to pay attention to are the new ranking factors. And one of them is click-through rate. In other words, what percentage of the people that run a search are actually clicking through to your website? Google's paying attention to that. You want to make sure that your title tags and your meta descriptions are on point so that Google knows exactly what your page is all about. The meta description as a ranking factor is kind of an old SEO thing that most people stop paying attention to. But what's important is the fact that your meta description is how you sell the click. This is what shows in the search results. So you want to sell why somebody should click on you versus the other results on the page. Scrolling, that's also optimizing for user experience, making sure that once they get to the page, that they actually scroll a little bit. That little scroll aspect tells Google that this is a relevant result in the rankings, that people actually are engaging with your website and starting to read your website now. So you want to make sure your website isn't just a flat panel, but that it's got some meat to it. There's content below the fold, that there's things that draw the eyeball down the page and draw the user into the page. Time on page is really important too, which is how long is somebody staying on the website when they get there. There's a thing called bounce rate, which is somebody getting to your website and then hitting the back button on their browser. If you get a high bounce rate, even if you click through, if your click-through rate is really high, that's going to negatively impact your search results. You want to think about ways to keep somebody on your site as long as possible. What we find is authentic imagery tends to draw the eyeball in, some real pictures of the real team, real text, before and after pics of your work. That's more interesting and engaging than a stock photo of a construction professional with their yellow hard hat on. I always recommend using some type of multimedia because it keeps people on your site. Now, you want them watching your videos. You want them to see, what the owner has to say, and you want to see what else is happening on the site. It keeps them on the page. Try and engineer reasons for someone to stay on your site. And using video, using authentic imagery, that will impact their user experience, which ultimately impacts the success of your SEO. Then, of course, off-page ranking factors. There are a number of citations that you can add, references to your company's name, address, and phone number all across the internet. The number of reviews that you have is a big ranking factor. You want to constantly be thinking about how do you automate the review request process? How do you create a world-class experience so that more and more people will want to leave feedback about your company? And relevant links, of course, we talked about that. You don't want to just throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, well, links are bad now, but you rather have to have a smart way to build links that are relevant and authentic to drive your rankings. And then page speed, we talked about this. You want to make sure that your website loads quickly from a desktop and a mobile perspective. I'm going to talk about the specifics of on-page SEO stuff, as well as specifics regarding off-page SEO. But really thinking about this user experience is what the new SEO formula is all about. It's really about engineering click-through rate, about engineering time on page. It's about engineering the scrolling down the page and creating your website as the best result for Google to serve in your service area. You also want to figure out what the most important keywords are. There are great tools for that, like Google's Keyword Tool Planner, WordStream, SpyFu, Google AdWords Keyword Planner is probably one of the best. We can use these tools to research and figure out what people are looking for when they're interested in a kitchen remodel, or when they need a roof replacement, or when they need other home improvement services. And then we want to structure our website so that it speaks to those different keywords. You do this by having different pages for the different services. You have to, have answers to the questions that people might have. We have to have pages for each of those cities in our service area to detail those services. And we want to optimize for the user experience. We talked about the scroll rate, the visuals, and multimedia. And we want to optimize the on-part and the off-page SEO components. From there, we want to track everything. You want to track how you're ranking. You want to track your click-through rate. You want to track your on-page visits and where people are clicking on your website. You ultimately want to track the results and if you actually sold the job. This means tracking how many calls you're getting, how many of those calls are turning into appointments, i.e. leads, and then how many jobs are sold for what level of revenue. Okay, so a lot of information so far, a lot of technical gobbledygook, maybe for some of you, but I want to get a feel for what you're getting out of this so far. I want to hear from you on what we've covered so far, maybe 3 or 4 things that can be hurting your rankings, as well as new things that you want to pay attention to. I kind of just want to check in because I want to make sure you're getting what I'm laying down here. What are some of your takeaways so far? So go ahead and post in chat. What are some of your takeaways so far that we've covered on today's session? Rebecca says, really focus on page speed, making sure that the website's loaded quickly. Yep. Also making sure the on-page optimization is dialed in. Victor says to make sure not to have any duplicate content, making sure the website is loading quickly. Yep, absolutely. Focus on link quality, getting the link quality dialed in. Perfect. Brian says needs to check to see if he needs to deal with bad links, getting them disavowed if need be. A tough process, but you kind of got to go through it. You got to put the time in for getting those links removed. Mario says that his website might be too simple, might not be engaging enough to pull somebody in and get them scrolling down the page. Okay, fantastic. That's some great feedback. Thank you for that. I appreciate your engagement. This really helps me make sure that you're getting these concepts, and then more importantly, that you're realizing how important these concepts are to your eventual success. So let's jump back in. When we think about SEO, there are tons of examples for what keywords people are using to search for your services. It might be simple like city plus general contractor, or maybe city plus kitchen remodeling. The point is that people are typing in a lot of different keywords when they need your services. If you're doing remodeling, they might even type in home remodeling, they might type in bathroom remodeling, they might type in home additions, maybe basement remodeling. Lots of possibilities, right? So you want to make sure you have a great keyword list to serve as your foundation that is relevant to what people are actually searching. If you want to list the most commonly searched remodeling and general contractor keywords, you can go to our website, HomeRemodelerSEO.com, and you can download this list so that you can focus on the keywords that are going to be best for your website and your website messaging foundation, built, of course, around your SEO. And then there's another list that focuses more on new construction and home builder keywords. They're the obvious ones like home builder and new home construction. But remember, those are going to have high search volume, but always high competition. So you want to think about what are the most common keyword terms that people are typing in when they need your services. And there are also other long tail keywords that you need to be aware of. But you start with building your foundation first with clarity on what consumers are typing in And then you can create content and create your website structure so that it touches on all of those different keywords. Then your ongoing content can focus on different variations that you keep sending out so that Google's picking up those signals that you're sending. Be clear on the services that you want to focus on. Be clear on the keywords that you want to target, but you have to do that on-page SEO optimization. Setting up your website is key so that it can be featured in the search results for those keywords that you want to rank for. So first, you want to have a strong website, good content, and offering a good user experience. You want to leverage multimedia using good keyword optimized pictures and video, making sure those pictures and video are authentic, which is really what resonates with people more so nowadays. And that helps, keep them on your site longer. You want to have pages for all your services, not just remodeling or home remodeling. It's also the different services that you provide, like kitchen remodeling, basement remodeling, bathroom remodeling, home additions, room additions, design build services. If you want to rank for all of those keywords, you need pages with unique content for each of those services. You also want pages for each of the cities that you operate in. You're in Los Angeles, but you happen to serve Pasadena or Palmdale up north, all those smaller cities and towns all over LA. You need pages with unique content on each of those services. It's really important that it's unique content. And then you can amplify those pages using geo-modified content and backlinking back to those pages on your website. Other keys to good on-page optimization are having unique content for each page. Your focus keyword needs to be in the title and also in the H1 heading tag for that page. Your meta description for each page needs to be a message that sells the click or a reason for somebody to actually click through your website. Name, address, and phone number, and the footer is pretty obvious, one that surprisingly a lot of websites don't feature. And then you need blogs that are being updated on a consistent basis with syndication and backlinking of that content. I want to take a moment and talk for a minute about this syndication of your online presence, because this is part of the new SEO formula. One of the things, you don't want to just blog, you want to blog with purpose. You want your blog content to get picked up and actually pass value back to your website. And this is where you want to focus on your on-page optimization. That's what can be really powerful for you. So just to show you a quick example, Classic Remodeling I mentioned earlier, they're a client of ours and a fellow NARI member as well as a member of the NAHB. We rebuilt their website from scratch with a clean, new, modern design with a lot of SEO capabilities built in, such as the aforementioned key components like good use of keywords in the page title, the heading tags, different pages for their different services, as well as different pages that highlight the areas they serve. Their site is also well optimized for page load speed. And all this is what matters when it comes to ranking on Google. Before they started working with us a few years ago, they were nowhere to be found on page 1 of Google for any of their high value keywords. They literally almost did not exist from a rankings perspective. They didn't have a strategy laid out, and we're missing a lot of opportunities. But that changed once we put together a plan for them. And then the proof is in the results. For one of their high value keywords, home remodeling, they show up #1 in Google Maps, and they also show up #1 in Google Organic right below the Maps section. And I can tell you that they dominate Google search results for hundreds of keywords and keyword combinations. But the reason for great rankings is really, it comes down to that great on-page SEO optimization. We get all the technical stuff right, the hundreds of different components that we analyze and optimize. But the big key to their success is having messaging that speaks to the consumer. It answers their questions, because ultimately, we don't just want rankings. We want rankings that convert into leads and into phone calls. Always keep in mind that you need to satisfy both Google and the consumer when it comes to optimizing for conversions. So hopefully those SEO on-page insights help. Here's something to keep in mind, though, when it comes to SEO. There's thousands of things that you can look at from an SEO perspective. But if you just think about the 80-20 rule, that will put you in front of a lot of your competitors. And what I mean by that is to concentrate on the most important 20% of things to optimize, which in turn can yield up to 80% of your results. In other words, do you have keywords in the title? Is the keywords in the city and the H tag as well? Do you have pages for all of your services, all of your cities? Is your site loading relatively quickly? Is there a reason for somebody to stay on the page for more than just a few seconds? Is your website mobile optimized and mobile responsive? Are you blogging and syndicating that content for further consumption? So hopefully that was helpful for everyone. Give me a yes in chat if that was. Let's see. A couple of yeses, another one. Okay, so cool, great. Just, want to make sure that you guys are getting some good takeaways here. What will you do with this knowledge? What will you implement for your remodeling, construction, or home improvement website? You got to pick just a few things, start focusing on them, and then you can focus on the next thing that you pick, and so on and so forth. Just kind of, knocking off each of these things one by one until you start getting your website and your online presence a little more optimized. Okay, so let's focus next on off-page optimization. On-page optimization is only a small part of the battle. You need all that on-page SEO, like the title tags, the H tags, extensive content, not duplicate, meta description, schema markup, etc. It's important, don't get me wrong. It's what dictates whether you're in the search results for that keyword or not. But really what's going to determine who ranks number 1 versus number 10 versus number 50 is the amount of authority that your web pages have. So let's talk about what you can do off of your website. This is really what impacts the rankings and results. The first is having claimed and optimized your Google My Business listing, which you can do at google.com/mybusiness. You also want to have citations, which are references to your company's name, address, and phone number on loads and loads of different online directories all over the internet that get you that reference, that backlink, that authoritative backlink for your website. And essentially, you need to be everywhere your competitors are. You want to be on Google, Angie's List, City Search, Best of the Web, Hot Frog, City Search, and on and on and on the list goes. There are literally thousands of online directories. And the key is you want to be in those directories with the same exact name, address, and phone number. And then that passes authority and relevancy back to your website. And this is what ultimately helps you move up in the search rankings. You also want to build up your online reviews. I talked about this before. Having more reviews than your competition is one of the strongest indicators of authority. You can use any number of review automation tools. We've built our own software for that, but there are tools like Nearby Now, Bird Eye, Review Buzz, Customer Lobby, and many more. These tools are kind of a dime a dozen. Pick one and find one that works for you and gets the job done. The important part is to make sure that there's an automatic review request going out after every job that can help your customers easily click the button and write a review for you. Give your company some much needed feedback on the job you're doing. We want those reviews to happen all over the internet too. We want them on Google ideally, but getting them on Angie's List, getting them on Facebook, Yelp, Yellow Pages. This is key to having reviews everywhere. And so you want to have some sort of a review acquisition process to create a great service and to get those reviews happening on a consistent basis. The other thing we need to do is building backlinks to your website. And this is authority building. It's really the harder, more nebulous task to have success with. So you want links from other sites that are relevant to your services and then point back to your homepage, back to your service pages, back to your city pages. There's definitely a strategy that goes into link building, which is typically the most difficult part of SEO. What I think most of you guys miss is those in remodeling, construction, roofing, other home services companies, is you look at the facade, you look at the surface level of your website, you look at the on-page SEO stuff, you make sure you have all the relevant service pages, city pages, etc. Your site looks good, it's aesthetically pleasing. But what you don't see is the effort that needs to go into building authority for your website. building links to the various pages and sections of your website, which is ultimately what's going to move you up in the search results. Now, increasing your page rank and your domain authority are the authority signals that Google is looking for. And I think you want to be doing strategic content syndication. That is creating content and syndicating across the internet, not just relying on a random blog post on your website every month or two and hoping that people are reading it. Take, for instance, this webinar that I'm doing, which is the new 2022 SEO formula. And that's something new and really powerful because we're moving beyond the WebPoint 2.0 blog, where you're just creating that blog post and calling it a day in terms of syndicating your content. Here's my belief, and we're seeing it. It's that a simple blog post on your website all by itself just won't cut it anymore. Doing one blog per month, copying, pasting it onto your website, and checking that box to say we created content really isn't moving the needle for you, probably. It's an activity that creates more content on your site, but what you need is more backlinks and more authority. What you need is other news sources. What you need is other places across the internet linking back to your website, linking back to your Google My Business listing, linking back to those various service pages on your website. And so now I don't want to go too super technical here because we've probably already gone a little too deep down the rabbit hole on backlinking as it is with our obsession of what Google is looking for. What the secret sauce is to getting websites ranked for remodeling companies, custom home builders, other improvement companies. What we found that secret sauce to be is a concept called EAT, E-A-T. It's an acronym that stands for expertise, authority, and trust. We've talked a lot about it already, so I don't want to get too super technical here and lose everyone. But if you look at this SEO periodic table, and I already told you I was a geek, so this is one of my fun graphs here. But these are all the things that Google is looking at to determine whether a web page is relevant, whether a website should rank or not for that particular keyword focus. We're looking at quality content. We're looking at the technical metadata. We're looking at multimedia. We're looking at page speed. We're looking at site structure. We're looking at whether it's optimized for mobile, how authoritative it is, how many links there are, what the user experience is. So a lot of things to look at. And by the way, this cool little table comes from SEO Journal. If you're interested, a great online site for keeping up on SEO stuff. But EAT really is the quality of the content on the page. Is it relevant? Is it structured? Is it media rich with pictures and multimedia? Is it authoritative? Does it just sit on your blog, or does it sit on third-party relevant sites that also pass authority, like the local news sites, ABC, CBS News, etc.? Again, these are the signals that Google is telling us is relevant for ranking a remodeling, construction, or home services website. Now, beyond that, Google has what they call third-party review factors. A lot of times they have real people, humans, and I'm sure they're international, that are looking at websites and saying, okay, is this relevant? Is it legit? Is it authentic? This is straight from that process that those reviewers look at to determine what should be given preference over something else. And so when it comes to local ranking factors, I really think the main things we want to look at are, one, proximity. How close are we to the search terms that we're trying to rank for, that people are looking for, where they're typing in the queries into Google from? What this comes down to is getting to know your keywords, your geo modifiers, your zip codes, and geo coordinates, and embedding all of that data into the content of your web pages. And then, is your content relevant? Are we speaking to what the person typed in? Is our content matching that? Is it speaking to the customer in a unique way? Or is it just there for the sake of keywords in order to rank for a lot of different keywords? And then, how prominent is it? That's where content syndication comes into play, because if you just have content sitting on your website, kind of like in a vacuum, and you have no links pointing back to your pages, pointing back to that content, if it's not being picked up by news sources and more prominent authority sites, then it's not really going to move the needle forward from a ranking perspective. What we're doing for our clients is we've shifted from just putting out blog content and saying, all right, great, we got a blog or two this month. We did one blog last month, and then leaving it at that. And is that actually pushing this content out and getting it picked up by the news sources? And in fact, showing you your site as a source of that content. That's what we're focused on. So leveraging that one blog to get picked up, on a lot of other places, and to get the links pointed back to your homepage, back to your service pages, to your city pages, to your Google Maps listing. So, trying to get that content picked up in as many places as possible, in other words. What this does is it passes a lot of ranking and authority factors, a lot of authority juice back to your website, which will in turn move your website forward in terms of search rankings. I don't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole on this, but what we've done is we've shifted to a syndicated blog strategy. Now, what that means is instead of just doing that blog, you're really pushing that out there so that your blog content is found on other sites. And so there's more credible sources, countless links and other citations that are now picking up that content, and now they assume some ranking for you, which then, of course, passes that authority back to you again. So let's look at a random example on Fox 21, and you can see this content that originally came from a local business's website, but now it's been syndicated out and shows up on a new site. The important piece is that it's listing the source as the client website. You can see where the link, where the arrow is pointing. This isn't like a press release or something like that, where you just put the content out to hundreds of places, but the actual source is the press release site. The key is getting content on your website that's then getting leased out via content syndication. So in an example like this, you have a bunch of places on the internet that are now linking back to that particular page, which passes that link juice back to your page. But not all the links should point back to the original client site, your site, and your content, because if you do that, you can kind of create spammy link, profiles. And the other thing we do is a map embed. We talk about links back to the home page, to service pages, city pages. But imagine diversifying your blogging strategy where you can create lots of links back to every single page, every single month in this way. Every time we create a blog post using this strategy, we're able to create lots of structured citations that reference our company's name, address, and phone number on authoritative news sites, which then pass more authority, which then help get those map listings to rank higher. So if you want to learn more about this, please reach out to us. We'd love to kind of walk you through it. This is something that we do exclusively for our clients. It's not like we can just randomly do content syndication for you. But if you're interested in working with us, this is one of our ninja strategies that help to get our clients ranked in the top couple of listings on Google Maps. Great on-page optimization, great off-page optimization, and strategic content syndication are what really move our clients' websites up in the rankings, because it has more relevance, because it passes that EAT criteria, which really moves the needle from a rankings perspective. Some great examples of this. One of our clients we work with is DC Roofing in Melbourne, Florida. This company also has a division for their company for general contracting and marine construction that we helped them with as well. We did so good for their DC, for the roofing company, that they decided to open a marine construction company and instantly took that to 7 figures. And this was all from doing content syndication and the strategies we've used. And if you look at their keywords, they've moved up 151 spots, 350 plus new keywords that weren't ranking before. So when you look at this, what this is telling you is SEO is about ranking as many keywords as you can. Hundreds of keywords that might move up a little, might move down a little, hundreds of new ones getting added in. That's important here, because when you look at these numbers here, we're looking at over 500, almost 600 keywords that they're now ranking for. Same thing here with Classic Remodeling in Everett, Washington that I mentioned earlier, right outside of Seattle. We showed them earlier with their phenomenal return on investment, 20,000, 30,000%. But here they are on the first page of Google for loads and loads of keywords, such as kitchen remodeling in Everett, Everett home remodeling, home additions in Everett, design build in Everett, 241 keyword rankings on page one, and an additional 167 keywords that are now ranking that weren't previously. So when you add up again, you add up all of these, we're looking at 600, 700 different keywords that they're ranking for. And then here's Colorado Window Source in Denver, Colorado, 236 page one rankings with an additional 176 keywords now ranking that were not previously. Keywords like Denver basement windows, custom vinyl replacement windows, bay, bow windows, commercial windows, casement windows, double hung vinyl windows, dual pane windows, custom windows company, and on it goes. And one of the key things I want you guys to latch onto here is that you need to be doing is not just putting up blog content, but rather putting out blog content and syndicating it so that you can build a preponderance of authority and links and citations back to your website, which is ultimately what's going to move you up in the search results. So here's a quick summary checklist of all those action items that you need to be paying attention to. If you want to screenshot this, go ahead or just take down some quick notes. All the things that you want to do on page, off page, to build your authority, to build your relevancy, and ultimately to build your rankings so that you get more leads, more calls, and more momentum for your company. So hopefully this is helpful. I hope I'm not going too deep. Like I said, I haven't really gone this deep in the past, but I do want to give you guys insights and things that you can look at and say, wow, that's something we could do that would really move the needle from a ranking perspective for our company. So just to summarize, key takeaways here are just set up a great website, have pages for each services, have pages for each of the cities that you serve. You want to make sure that you're getting your keywords with your cities in the page titles, in the heading tags. You also want to make sure that you have unique content all across your website, no duplicate content across your different service pages. Make sure you're leveraging multimedia, that you're getting reviews from all across the web, that you're building up citations and consistency across the internet of your name, address, and phone number, that you're posting content on an ongoing basis and syndicating it out so that you can build authority. Building that authority and consistency with your backlinks and citations really is key, because that's what ranking is about. It's about authority. It's not about all these things that you're doing. It's about the result of all those things that you're doing, which is building authority, making your site more credible. And then leveraging page search to identify some of the highly converting keywords that you want to focus on. Should also be part of your marketing strategy, as long as your budget allows for some extra pay-per-click advertising. So this is what's really working well nowadays for us. Hopefully I've painted a clear picture for you. I've given you some specific ideas, strategies, and techniques to go back and implement. Love to hear from you in chat. What were some of your takeaways? What are some of the things that you can say, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to definitely implement this in my business. Or maybe I need to learn more about this specific aspect. So of course, you know, if you'd like help, if you'd like to talk with us about implementing any of this for you, we'd love the opportunity to chat. And then if you want to put, you know, just put in let's talk in the comments. That'll be our cue to reach out to you. Let's schedule a time to talk. Be a no pressure conversation. We'll just take a very consultative approach on what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, what you might need some help with. And so if you're, you know, interested in learning more about us, our services, how we can do this for you, if you know, like we've done it for hundreds of other remodeling companies, home builders, and other home improvement services companies in competitive markets across the country, what we'll do is we'll do an analysis of your online visibility. We'll develop a keyword list, kind of figure out, you know, what the most important keywords are for you, where you really need to focus on in terms of keyword analysis or your on-page SEO optimization. Usually we find it's the missed out keywords that represent a lot of lost opportunity. That represents the calls that you should be getting that you're not. And then we'll do an analysis of the consistency of your name, address, and phone number, your online reputation as well. In addition to helping you diagnose many other aspects of your digital presence that you should be looking at and where you might be able to make some improvement. You're going to get a lot of value from this session one way or another if you choose to do this. You'll get a lot of clarity on where there's room for improvement and whether you want to take that back to your current marketing provider or try to implement it on your own. That's fine too. It's usually about an 8 to 10 page analysis. So there's a lot of value. There's a lot of things that you can pull from this and implement. So, if you say, hey, how much would it cost to have you guys do this for me? What's that look like? We can just kind of take a look at everything overall and have that consultative conversation with you to set that up, to claim this SEO review. You can call us at 855-235-9140, or you can go to www.homeremodelerseo.com/discovery-call. If you go to that page, it will take you straight to the calendar where you can pick a time that works for you for us to sit down and talk. And then we'll get to work. We'll get to work on writing that report for you and showing you exactly where there's room for improvement and how we can help. So hopefully this has been helpful. Give me a thumbs up in chat, or thank you, or just something confirm this was useful. And if there's anything we can do to help or support you, please let me know. Cool. I see some people commenting. Thank you. Great information. Extremely useful. Great. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, James. Thank you, Joseph. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. So thank you again to everyone for attending. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to spend some time with us. I hope you got some great value out of this. Thank you for your feedback and engagement as well. Let us know how we can help, and I'll look forward to talking with you soon.